Pretty good crush there. I'm gonna just leave it as the one pass through today, and yeah, it means I'm ready a little bit earlier for the grain, but the water's not quite up to temp. So when that comes to temp, you'll see me again. Okay, we're nearly up to mash temp, so time to fill my sparge water heater and get this to the mash volume. Mash volume I'm looking for today is 20 litres and 12 to sparge with, because it's I think it's 5.75 kilos in the grain bill. So we'll get that done and then we'll come to mash in. Time to mash in the porter. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. One last stir before we put the top plate on. And the water hasn't, oh sorry, the mash water hasn't come up any higher to the overflow pipe. If you were worried, I left the grain stopper in there. When the crush is right, and you know your system, you can do that. I've been using this for a few years now, so I've got some. I know what I can get away with. Last stir, I like to make sure, touch everywhere. I like to feel the bottom plate with the paddle. When I can feel the metal on metal, I know that I've done the whole grain bed. Just turn the pump off for a second. And I'll leave that go for another 30 minutes. Okay, we're about 5 minutes from the scheduled end of the mash. Just get a gravity reading. So I've got 1061. Now we'll just see what that is at the hour mark. If it's gone up a couple of points, then I'll leave it go for another 10 minutes. If it's the same, then I know that I'm got my maximum efficiency that I'm going to get out of this mash at the temperature. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. It's gone up to 1063, so I'm going to leave it another 10 minutes. It's been 10 minutes. It's gone up a little bit, almost to 1 gravity point. So I'm going to leave it for 5 more minutes, and then I'm just going to cut it and go into mash up. It's been 5 minutes. Okay. It hasn't moved, and I'll mash out at 77. That's the end of the mash. So what I like to do to save time is I flick it over to the boil. Make sure you've got both elements and you turn it on the normal, so you've got the 2000 watts going through. So we'll let that drain and we'll sparge. Sparging is just, I use a 1 litre jug filled with sparge water and do it until the sparge water heater is empty. Throwing the first lot of hops in, the 25 grams of Fuggles. And it's almost at the boil. Okay, because this is a porter, I'm not too worried about clarity, so I'm not going to use I'm not going to use a Whirlfloc tablet, but I am going to use a bit of Brewing or Polyclar and some yeast nutrient. Just give that a stir. Okay, 5 minutes left to the end of the boil. I've got my counterflow chiller sanitizing, and I'm adding my last lot of hops, which is just some East Kent Goldings and Fuggles. Okay, we're at the end of the boil. It's 1 hour, and I don't want any more bitterness to go into the beer from the hops. Just do a whirlpool. So all the proteins and any sort of leftover grains and hops that made their way through the hop spider, hopefully they settle out to the center, and that'll leave the pump screen free access to be able to pump quite freely. But we'll just leave that for about 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and start chilling. Okay, the temperature's low enough now, and I'm transferring from the grain father into the fermenter through the counterflow chiller. Should hopefully it'll get cool enough to pitch straight away. It's important when you're adding your yeast to aerate your wort. Now before we add the yeast, I just want to get a gravity ready. I'm adding the USO 5 I had in my amber ale. I know it was hoppy, but I cleaned this enough or polished it enough that there's no actual hop smell at all in it. Alright, I'm going to ferment this cold at no more than 18 degrees for 2 weeks. That's because I want the malt flavours to really shine and make sure there's no hot flavours come through. So we'll see how it is in 2 weeks. Cheers.